Operation Confidence proudly presents America's Invisible Heroes Talk Radio Show. Tune in weekly on Sundays from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Pacific Time with your hosts, Consuelo Mackey, co-hosts, Air Force veteran Matt Davidson, announcers Taylor Marcella and Brooke Gadesi, U.S. Army veteran and entertainment segment host Charles Whitehead, U.S. Army veteran and Strategies for Hope segment host Dr. Kathy Cash, U.S. Army veteran and Lifeline for Women Veterans segment host Martha Elena Varela, National Director of Faith Services, Chaplain, and Veterans in Recovery segment host Anthony Akimpora, and U.S. Air Force veteran and Incarcerated to Success segment host Kevin Lewandowski. For more information or to be a guest on our show, email info@operationconfidence.org.
Operation Confidence is a grassroots nonprofit. The organization's mission is to provide stable housing for veterans who have experienced homelessness, as well as providing a wide range of supportive services. To help accomplish our goal, a successful landowner has donated land for the project, a world-renowned architect has offered to design the houses, and construction classes from the local community colleges will take part in building the houses. Your support and donations are needed. To get involved, please visit our website at www.operationconfidence.org or email info@operationconfidence.com.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to America's Invisible Heroes, a show that's dedicated to our veterans and their families. Yes, I'm your host, Consuelo Mackey, Executive Director of a grassroots nonprofit organization called Operation Confidence. I'm not a veteran, but my heart goes out to our American heroes, especially those who are disabled and have experienced homelessness. For those who are new to the show, American Invisible Heroes was established to provide a platform for our veterans to be able to share their experiences, heartfelt stories, resources, and challenges. Now, board member Taylor Marcella will introduce our co-host for today.
On today's show, we have U.S. Army Reserve veteran Charles Whitehead, who is a board member. We have attorney Eric Olsen with his monthly segment, Help Nonprofit Law Firm. We have Ann Montague and her bi-monthly segment, The Rosie Movement. And lastly, we have U.S. Army veteran Dr. Wendy Childress and her segment, Living Life Completely.
Okay, Charles, take it away and introduce attorney Olsen, who's one of our team members.
All right. Attorney Eric Olsen. HELPS, that's HELPS, is a nationwide 501c charity nonprofit law firm that protects seniors and disabled receiving federally protected Social Security, pensions, disability, and VA benefits from unwanted collector contact. HELPS also educates lower income and poor seniors on how they can maintain their financial independence. We serve seniors and disabled in all 50 states. We turn no qualified person away. Of course, this is what Attorney Eric is saying, right? Dealing with debt you can't afford to pay. Many senior and disabled veterans and others, for various reasons, find themselves owing debt they can't afford to pay. This could include medical debt, credit cards, bank loans, payday loans, perhaps a car payment or any other debt, even tax debt. When debt isn't paid, collectors call and send demand letters. We will discuss the laws that protect income like Social Security and veterans benefits and other retirement income, how these collection calls and letters can be stopped. What happens if you are sued for an old debt? You have to go to court, laws that protect your bank account. They'll talk about things like that and how debt collectors attempt to collect debt. With knowledge about your rights, you can live in peace, understanding why and how your income is safe and how you can be protected from collector harassment. Take away, Attorney Olsen.
Thank you, Charles. Good to be here with you guys. You know, as I talk, and if you have any of the board, any of you have questions, you can ask, and I'll be glad to ask questions or answer the questions. So,
Sure.
I've been an attorney for now 44 years, and almost the entire time I've been helping people that have had financial problems in different ways. And there's a lot of information that seniors and disabled persons need to know about their rights. And a lot of times it's difficult for them to find accurate information about their financial rights. There's a lot of misinformation. For example, there are companies, for those that are younger, us older ones remember consumer credit counseling used to be local, and you'd go, if you had debt problems, you go to consumer credit counseling where you live. Now, these types of companies are all over the internet, and they're called debt management companies. And then they're nonprofit, and they're 501(c)s, which means they're a charity. And then there are other companies that help people with debt called debt settlement companies, and they're usually for profit. But unfortunately, except for a few exceptions, neither one of these companies will tell a person who is on Social Security or on disability who has financial problems about their financial rights. Okay. Why won't they do that? Well, these nonprofit debt management companies, they get paid by donations, and the donations they receive are from the credit card companies on whose behalf they collect. And if they sign someone up for their program, they have a prearranged agreement with the credit card company that they get to take a certain percentage as a donation. And so they have a kind of a conflict of interest, a built-in conflict of interest not to disclose the rights that a senior or disabled person, including a veteran, might have about their protected income. Instead, they sign them up, and many seniors are put in utter poverty, making a payment for debt they can't afford to pay. It really is a big problem in our country. Almost half of seniors have incomes within 200% of the poverty line, and they retire owing more debt than ever before, and the senior population is getting older. And so there's a lot of seniors with problems, and a lot of them don't realize that, number one, that their income is protected. Now, what do I mean by that? Okay, Social Security is the most protected form of income you can receive in the United States. Okay, it can't be garnished from you. Can't be garnished or taken to pay a debt. The only exception is for like past due child support, or in certain instances taxes. But even then, it's very rare. And I'm talking about IRS taxes. A state tax collector can't touch a person's Social Security. And then there's federal laws that protect your pension too, from garnishment. Back in 1974, a law called ERISA, Employment Retirement Income Security Act, was passed, and it provides that a person's pension, and almost all pensions nowadays are covered under ERISA, that's protected from debt collectors. It can't be taken from them. And the same thing with veteran benefits, that can be taken from them. So one thing that helps wants to let people know that have financial problems is that, you know, if it comes down to, you know, can I afford my medicine or my heat or my food or my housing? No, you know, that income is protected. Congress is protected, and lawmakers will protect that money for a reason. They don't want our seniors and veterans to go without. Okay. And so that's our number one message. Now, if you don't pay a debt, what's going to happen? Okay, you're going to get calls, right? And then maybe you're going to get sued, and that can be scary. But I want to talk that for just a second. Back in 1978, there was a law passed called the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act that provides if you send a letter to a debt collector telling them you don't want to get a call anymore, or a letter, they have to cease contact. Okay. And that law works pretty good, and legitimate debt collectors honor that law. And it also provides if you have an attorney representing you, collectors have to leave you alone. That's what helps does. We represent people owe debts, so collectors have to leave them alone. So your income's protected, but okay, so what happens if you get sued? Is that going to be a problem? If your income is protected income, no, it's not going to be a problem. And if you owe the debt, even if they get a judgment, they're not going to be able to collect from you. They can't take your income. So what happens if you put it in your bank account? Okay. Well, the law since 2012 protects automatically twice the amount of federal benefits deposited into a bank account from garnishment, regardless of what funds are in there or where they're from. Now, what do I mean by federal benefits? I'm talking about Social Security. I'm talking about VA benefits. Okay. Or if you work for the post office, that's a federal benefit. The retirement is, and the same with railroad. Okay. That's a federal pension. So if you got 1,500 and so, let's say you got 1,500 in Social Security, or let's say 1,500 and 500 in veteran benefits, that's $2,000. 2,000 times 2 is $4,000. That amount of money is protected. Even if someone were to sue you and get a judgment and they tried to garnish your bank account, the bank has a department within the bank that handles garnishments. They can determine that that money came from a federal source. There's a code on the deposit in your account, and they know to protect that money. Now, the branch manager doesn't understand that, but the department in the bank does understand that, and handles the garnishment. So your income's protected. So, that's our number one message to seniors and veterans and disabled persons who struggle with debt is, yeah, you don't have to go without, and you don't have to pay the debt. Your income's protected, and you can be protected from collector harassment. And we try to get that out because there's a lot of articles about people that have financial problems, but some of them, they'll talk about you can do this thing and that thing and the other thing, but many of them won't even mention the very basic fact of what I just said, how this income is protected, and you don't have to worry about the debt. Now, obviously, if you want to worry about it, or if you got the income with which to pay it, you can do that. Okay. But it's important to know that your income is protected. Now, another thing, how many more minutes do I have, Consuela?
You running okay. You got maybe about 5 more minutes.
There we go. Something you should know too, that we may have talked about before, but I think it's important to know. What about taxes? Okay, we deal with a lot of seniors and veterans that may have a tax issue. Maybe they're working, now they're retired, and they owe past due taxes. First thing you should understand that if you owe federal income taxes, if you have income under a certain amount, and that's approximately like $2,500 for a single person, maybe $3,500 for a couple. If you have income under that amount, you can get on what's called currently not collectible status, and not have to pay the taxes. Now, certainly if you can afford to pay the taxes, we want you to pay the taxes. But once again, if you're having to go without basic needs, you don't need to pay the taxes. And you can get on currently not collectible status, and IRS, you won't have to pay the tax. And it's not that difficult to do. The most difficult part about it sometimes is waiting on the phone for 2 hours for the IRS to pick the phone up. Now, if you owe to a state tax collector, a state tax collector is just like another creditor. They cannot take your money. They can't garnish your retirement funds. Okay. Mm. So, and your bank account is protected from a state tax collector also. State tax collectors, as a rule, won't tell you that. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you should understand that. Okay. Now, so what does this all mean? So if you're sued, and for a lot of seniors or veterans, you know, they've never been sued before. Okay. And it can be scary. Okay. Have someone knock on your door, give you some legal papers. And sometimes the legal papers say a court date and time. Okay. Now, if you read it carefully, that court date and time is only if you're going to contest the matter. But if you're not going to contest it, no, you don't need to go to court. And if you don't go to court, eventually the creditor will get a judgment. But for the reasons I already explained, your income is protected. They can't take your income, even if it's in the bank. So what about your other assets? What about a home or your car or your furniture or these kind of things? It is not the practice of judgment creditors to go after a person's property, personal property, even a home, even if that person has a lot of equity in that. See, every state has certain exemptions, which is amount of equity and property that's protected by law in that state. But even if you have property in excess of that amount that's protected in your state, a judgment creditor isn't going to go after that property for a lot of different reasons. They just don't do it. Okay. Now, I know I'm 72, attorney for 44 years, probably filed 30, 40,000 bankruptcies. So they're not going to do it. But the problem is sometimes you read on the internet and say, boy, if you don't pay this debt, they can take your property from you. For a lot of different reasons, they don't do it. So I guess the other thing, and we can talk about this later.
Right.
Yeah, I was just going to
got a
say,
question for you on that though.
Go.
So they don't do it because they pretty much know it's unenforceable, right?
Well, yeah, they don't do it. I'll give you an example, Charles.
Mhm.
Estates have amount of equity in certain property that's protected. Okay.
Mhm.
And most seniors' property is usually within that exemption amount.
Right.
But let's say you had a free and clear car that was worth 10, 15,000, and that state only protected 5,000 in a car. But for them to take that car, a judgment creditor. Now, I'm not talking about
Mhm.
the company, the bank you owe money to on the car. I'm talking about a creditor on like a credit card.
Right.
They have to get a bond. They have to get a writ of execution. They have to go through a whole complicated process. Now, they don't know how good your car is. They don't know how many miles are on it. They don't know if it's worth going after. And they'd have to hire an attorney to do it. And in the end, then if they sold the car, they'd have to pay your exemption. So they've learned by experience that it financially just doesn't work out for them.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, because there are a lot of hoops to go through and it's just not worth the time and the money.
And there's if they were to
Mhm.
do it, but they don't, there's a way it could be stopped.
Right.
Okay. And I won't get into that.
Yeah, Eric, can you give us your contact information?
You bet. Well, it's just HELPS nonprofit law firm. It stands for Help Eliminate Legal Problems for Seniors, HELPS. And we're all over the internet. Okay. We help people in all 50 states. And our major purpose is to protect seniors from collector harassment. And then we educate seniors and disabled persons and veterans how they can maintain their financial independence. And next time, we'll talk about benefits specifically for veterans that a lot of them don't realize, aid in attendance. But thanks for having me today, Consuelo.
That is so cool. Thank you for all that great information.
It's good info.
What you say?
I said that's good information.
Yeah, it is. Thank you. Okay, we're moving right along here. It's on you, Ann. Taylor, would you read a little bit about Ann's track record, background, and her guest for today?
Yes, ma'am. So Anne Montague is the executive director, founder of the Rosie movement. She returned to West Virginia after working in other states and internationally, and received 2 MA degrees without having to finish the BA based on professional level research, writing, and contribution. After an MA from Harvard University, she was a partner in a Boston area firm commercializing technologies. She founded a nonprofit based on work with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to find technologies to clean and use sediment from navigable waters. She is recognized for good ideas and to work to bring them to reality. Anne's guest today is Virginia Cassells, a Rosie living in Elkins, West Virginia. Virginia Cassell was born in Algona, Iowa, on a farm. She took normal training in high school so she could teach. At 17 years old, right after graduating high school, she became the teacher of a one-room country school, 1st through 8th grade. The teacher left to help out the war effort. The most children she had in her 2-year teaching career was 16 at one time in all grades. During that time, one of her most vivid memories was her brother Wayne, who flew a B-17 bomber, was shot down over France. He called from England to let the family know he was alive. Because of her brother being gone, Virginia had to fill in on the farm, driving a tractor and milking cows. She stayed on the farm until the war was over. Take it away, Anne.
Thank you so much. Well, folks, I'm very, very honored and pleased to introduce you to Virginia Cassells. This is the first time I've actually seen Virginia. So I've seen her pictures and I've talked with her by phone. She's very bright-eyed and very alert. Now, Virginia, I need to know, are you 97 now? When will you be 97?
In December,
You will be 97 in December.
yes,
So
That's
you were born in 1943,
1926.
26, and you went to work in 1943, right?
Right,
Right. So if you are born in 26, you're about maybe 8 years younger than my mother would have been if she had survived, really. So you are a different kind of Rosie.
Virginia, what date in December?
What's your date in
19.
December?
19.
Huh? The 19th? Okay, I'm the 8th, so I thought we might have. Okay.
So you're halfway between Thanksgiving and Christmas, both of you, huh? Something like that.
Right.
That's about right.
Anyway, Virginia, you're a bit different because many of the Rosies that Consuelo's interviewed and that we've interviewed basically were paid by the Department of Defense through a corporation. Like maybe they welded ships or they riveted airplanes or whatever. But your history is different. So let's talk about you were able to teach school, and why don't you tell them about teaching school in a one room? And another thing I'd like to know is when you grew up in Iowa, did you grow up on a farm?
I grew up on a farm until I left at 19.
At 19 years old?
Well, let's hear her story.
Yeah. So let me say that we find that the women who worked on farms were known as the best workers. So when companies would have trouble hiring people who really weren't good workers, they'd say, send us a farm girl. Farm girls know how to work, don't they?
Well,
Anyway,
yes,
why don't you start telling about when you left home and all about that?
well, I left home when I was about 19. I learned teletype and, well, actually, I was a teacher before that, and I filled in for teachers who left. So, but then I left 2 years later because I wanted to get on the action. So I learned teletype and worked for United Airlines as a teletypist. And then I worked for Wilson's meatpacking company until I got married at 22, I think.
Now, tell us what teletyping is. I bet some of the people here don't know what a teletype is.
They don't use teletyping anymore. It's
Yeah.
a shorthand on the typewriter. And it was used in communication with the pilots and with people who worked for the airlines. They had to learn teletype also.
Is that right? So what were your messages? It didn't have to do with scheduling or what?
It's been a long time since.
Yeah.
Well, you're bright. We're so happy to have you learn so much. You know quite a bit, so come on, finish telling. This is history for us.
I'm sorry, what did you want?
This is history, what you're sharing with us. We're so
I
pleased.
see. Well, a lot of it was sending messages from the airport center to the planes, and it was done on a big board by pushing buttons. Other than that, it was done on a typewriter in a sort of a code, which was teletype, sending messages to pilots on weather and timetables and so forth.
That's a very, very responsible job for a 19 to 20-year-old. That's incredible, really.
There were a lot of young people, just girls, mostly girls,
Yeah,
who were doing the same thing.
is that right? Yeah.
We weren't old enough to be a riveter, but
Right.
we could fill in for those who were.
Very good. And then
Okay.
after that, what did you do? You worked for Wilson's Packing. Was that in Iowa?
Now that I went to Chicago.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, I went from Iowa to Chicago.
And so
Never
what did you do for Wilson's Packing?
teletype, same thing.
Same
only
thing?
it was all typing. Yeah, their messages to other companies and to people who were selling. Actually, one time I made a mistake on my teletype, and instead of 10 cows that were to be shipped, I put in an extra 0.
Oh, no.
That was 100. My boss laughed.
Oh, good.
I guess they took care of it.
Okay. Oh, that's funny.
You're very lucky
That's
to be a good boss. Well, now, then after that, when did you marry? I'm a little confused on that. What
Well, I worked in Chicago about 4 years and I got married. So I was about 22.
and who did you marry?
Mark Cassells. He was a pilot no, not a pilot, I'm sorry, but he was in the war also over in Europe. And I met him after he came home. We met in church. The minister introduced it. So
And that was in Chicago or where?
in Chicago, yeah.
And he
lived
was a
in
West
Chicago.
Virginian, I'm assuming. Am I right?
I left Iowa. I've lived in West Virginia for about 20 years, I guess. I came here with my daughter.
So in other words, but where did you live with your husband? Was that in Iowa?
No, it was in Chicago and then Detroit.
Oh, okay. Okay.
In Michigan, Illinois and Michigan.
When he came back from the military, was he safe and whole? Did he have problems? Any
No,
disability?
he was okay. He was very young when he was, I believe, 17 when he went to war.
Wow.
So he was still young. He went in college when I met him.
Oh, I see. So that was the GI Bill. He went to war.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, he was
So-
bitter.
What did you learn from your husband's experience? In other words, did he talk about his experience? He was in Europe, am I correct?
Yes, and he didn't talk about it very much, so I didn't learn a lot.
Most of the men did not.
No, he
It's
wasn't.
surprising how infrequently the men even talked to their wives about what they had seen. But was he in battle?
I'm not in a big battle, no, but he said he did have to kill a young a boy, and that bothered him a lot. And that's about all he said.
Yeah, and I think that the ones who have had a traumatic experience like that are the ones that are least likely to talk about it.
That's right.
Yeah, that seems
PTSD.
to be the pattern. Yeah. Now, so you came to West Virginia after your husband died, am I correct?
No, we came down here to live when we retired. We were in our mid-60s and we came down here to live and retired because our daughter lived here.
Oh,
And we checked around with our 4 children to see who was going to stay put, and she was. So we moved.
don't want to follow a child who's going to move on, do you? Well, you
No,
have a delightful daughter, that's for sure.
yes, she is.
Right.
Maybe you can tell a group here a little bit about West Virginia. So many people think West Virginia is Virginia.
No, I know.
It's very different.
West Virginia is a beautiful, beautiful state.
It
And
is.
yes, and we're just afraid we're going to get overwhelmed someday when people find that out.
Yes, it's West Virginia's best kept secret, and let's keep it that way, right?
Beautiful.
One of the things I want to ask you, and our time will be up in a little bit here, but if you had advice for young people today, what would you say to them? I mean, you've lived now a century and you've seen so much change in this century. What would you advise young people today?
To find out what they like to do and do it. I mean, too many young people don't work. I mean, they need a job. They need responsibility and they need a purpose.
I need a purpose. Is that's the old song. I can't remember. It's give me a second here. Life gets better every day, something of sort. I can't remember, but it's a purpose. And they're finding that in research now, very much in research now, that people are happier at 60 than they were at 40. They're happier at 40 than they were often as young people. I mean, really young people. But the most important thing that is across all generations is if you feel a purpose, you are a much happier person.
Right.
I believe that.
I'm not sure that our education system has taught our children that.
I think you're right. Absolutely.
Yeah, really.
Now,
Now, these people,
Virginia, we want you to come back again, girlfriend. You're just amazing.
well, I'm still active. Let's put it that way.
Oh, see, now that's what we like to hear. What are you doing? Yes.
Well, yesterday I pulled weeds.
Oh.
you want to come down to Charleston, pull my weeds, please?
I still have a few left.
Okay, that's so great. And you you have a garden?
Yes, we have my daughter and I have gardens.
You have flower garden and
during
vegetables.
COVID, I started playing with the couple of little flowers that I had gotten from Lowe's, and all of a sudden my front porch looks like a jungle out there. But I enjoy them. They're all my little friends, you know.
Yeah, they are.
Getting to get so close to them.
Yes.
So are you growing your own food, or you're growing mostly?
We have 4 raised garden beds, 4 by 6.
Oh,
really?
And
So you can't wait for a homegrown tomato, am I right?
Oh my goodness, yes.
Well, we'll close on that.
Thank you so
A
much.
quote I love, that's a West Virginia quote. There's only two things worth dying for: your own true love and a homegrown tomato.
Oh, right.
Well, you make sure you come back, please. Want to hear
Thank you
more
so
of your
much,
fascinating
Virginia,
stories.
and I'll be talking to you personally in the next week or so, okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you so
Nice to
much.
meet
Thank
Nice to
you.
meet you. Thank
All
you.
right.
And you can stay as long as you want, but you can leave too. It's up to you if you're interested in these other stories. These
Right.
people, some of these people are disabled. So this is a group of disabled veterans and veterans advocates. So
that's for
it's
sure.
very important to me that we include veterans and especially disabled veterans.
I
That's
agree.
right.
Yeah.
Thank you so
And
much.
those who've had trauma, I consider to be disabled. Yeah.
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 That's true.
So, okay, we're moving right along here. Dr. Wendy Childress is still on the road. She may sign in later, but Charles, I want you to introduce you to our new girlfriend on the team. Hopefully she's going to be on the team.
I'm gonna let Taylor do that. Oh, I'm not gonna
Okay.
let her, but that's her
All right.
job.
I meant Taylor. My bad.
Really, just like that. Okay, Charles.
Duh.
Okay. Okay. No. So Dezaree Lusk, she created the Divine Beauty Bar in July 2016. Divine Beauty Bar is a one-stop shop for individuals experiencing hair loss, alopecia, or undergoing chemotherapy. The salon accepts medical insurance and veteran benefits for cranial wigs, prosthetics, mastectomy bras, and breast prosthetics. Divine Beauty Bar is known in the community as being the home of free wigs for veterans. Dezaree is a licensed clinical social worker specializing in health and behavioral health with a bachelor's of social work degree from Prairie View A&M University and a master's of social work degree from the University of Houston. Divine Beauty Bar has been selected as a wig vendor for the National Alopecia Aretha Foundation and the Lupus Foundation of Texas. Welcome, Miss Dezaree.
All right, yay.
Thank you so much, Miss Taylor, and thank you so much, everyone, for having me. It is truly a blessing to be on this show, sharing resources, the different resources that are out there for veterans, and just being a woman myself and being able to be in the presence of Miss Virginia, Miss Ann. I am just so honored just to hear her story. and everything, even the men and the attorney, and my dad is a disabled veteran, so in this short period of time, I'm already ready to call him and let him know some of the rights he does have as a veteran. So super excited to be here. Thank you.
Maybe you'll invite your dad on the show.
Yes, I have to show him how to work Facebook first.
Okay, or Zoom. All he has to do is
right, Zoom.
So tell us more what you're doing for our veterans in your field.
Yes, ma'am. So my name is Dezaree Lusk. I'm 30 years old. I've been a licensed cosmetologist since 2011, and I've been working with hair loss since 2016. So the Divine Beauty Bar is my way of combining my love for social work with my love for cosmetology, and I just didn't want to be just another stylist, right? So I wanted to make sure that when people leave my chair, they're leaving and they're ready to set out and do a purpose. So I always say slay with purpose. So with that being said, Divine Beauty Bar has grown. We are a one-stop shop. We offer free wigs to veterans. So the correct term will be cranial prostheses. It is a prosthetic because it's considered a missing limb, right? So just as you may have a missing arm or a missing leg, when people are losing their hair, they consider that as a missing limb. A medical wig is different from our everyday wigs because there's different type of material in the inside that helps with each individual's hair loss. So when a person come in for a consultation, it's like going to the nail salon. So we have so many colors that they can choose from, and we literally build the unit from the ground up. So we start with your colors. What's your favorite color, right? Because if you were, before your hair loss, if you were wearing, a honey blonde wig, or you used to wearing a dark blonde wig, we want to make sure that you're leaving out and you're feeling confident. Our units are also human hair, any length, any color, any style, we can do that for you. And we service veterans all over. So California, Atlanta, St. Louis, Texas. We're based in Houston, Texas. But wherever there's a need in the world, we do go out there to our veterans to help serve. And it's not just for women. It's also for men, dependents, veteran spouses as well, and veteran employees too. So
do you have some pictures or video to show us? Because it's important.
I have some pictures.
Okay. Perfect.
Let's see here.
I think Charles was so engrossed in what you were saying, he didn't have the pictures on the
I have them.
Y'all was.
Yeah.
Got them right here. See, y'all just slamming me. Y'all just no respect, like Rodney Dangerfield. No respect.
Okay.
So this is you, of course, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then so this is okay. So let me ask you this: is this, you said it's a process, are these permanent wigs or just temporary like the ones that we know of?
Right. So that's a great question. So the wigs will last up to 2 years with proper care. Most veterans will receive 1 wig per year. However, it is based off of medical necessity. So with that being said, let's say 6 months go by and the veteran decides that she want a different look, or let's say she tore her lace, right? Because as you can see on this unit, very, very transparent. It looks like it's growing out of her head. And so with that being said, the lace is thinner in order to get this transparent look. So a lot of times we may have our veterans who may tear a hole in it or rip it. And then at that time, the VA will contact us for us to do repair. But if it's too damaged, then we will have to replace it. And unfortunately, the husbands out there, one of my veterans, her husband wasn't paying attention, accidentally threw the wig in the washer. So, so, she called me immediately crying. I'm like, no, it's okay. Reach back out to the VA and we'll get you covered. So this diva right here, so this amazing lady that you're showing on the screen, beautiful, beautiful soul. She drives all the way from Abilene, Texas to Houston, Texas for her VA appointment. So that's a 6-hour drive. And as you can see, she has a tumor that's sticking outside of her head as well. And she's been battling cancer back and forth since about 2008. And so with that being said, we do work around our veterans schedule. The lady who I went to see yesterday, because of medical conditions, she couldn't come into the salon. So then we go to them, because a lot of times if someone had a bone marrow transplant or they just finished chemo, their bodies are really, really tired. So we do, go to them to help accommodate them. So this is why medical wigs are important, because with the shape of how the tumor is in her head, then what we have to do is do a special mold. So there's a mold that we would do and send off to our supplier so that the wig is not causing any further damage or irritating her.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes.
3 weeks, so that's how they contact you, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, if they need to have consultation,
Is it time for questions?
excuse me, if they need to have consultation and they can't get in, do you go to them and give a consultation? What about out of state?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So what happens is when it's out of state, so Divine Beauty Board, we do teach other stylists how to do exactly what we do. Hair replacement, how to accept insurance, how to accept veteran benefits and government contracts as well. So we have students all over. And the reason why I did open this up to teach other people is because I got to the point where I was in St. Louis one weekend, not Louisiana, Los Angeles. Then I will be in Atlanta. And that's just not something that I can continue doing by myself. But I couldn't trust people who haven't been trained in hair replacement. So I started training others. We have students everywhere, Virginia, Florida, all over. So San Antonio. So what happens is if there's a veteran that's out of state, she will go to one of the students to take her measurements, get down, do her hair loss analysis, choose her colors and things like that. And depending on how my schedule looks, either I will fly out there, or if I just cannot make it out there, then once the unit arrives, I ship it off to my student, and then she will put the wig on the client.
So it's primarily a wig that has a different type of foundation other than
right.
That.
Well, it's a cranial prosthesis, but when I say cranial prosthesis, no one knows what I'm talking about. So a lot of times I just go by the term medical wig. But no, if any stylist is listening to me out there and you're interested in doing this, if you say the word wig on your claims or to the VA, you will be denied. So cranial prosthesis is the correct term.
How are they put on and stay on? Get wind, come blow them off. I mean, how does it stay on?
Yes. So the great thing about this type of unit, we have some units that are vacuum wigs to where there's material called polyurethane, and it literally suctions to your hair. It uses your body heat with the material to adhere. So a
Really?
lot of times we like to use polyurethane. Unfortunately, polyurethane only works if they have less than 2 inches of hair on the head. So if someone actually, has hair and they still need to keep their unit on, our units come with bands at the top, at the back to keep it. We have combs, but it depends on the person's preference. I don't like combs in my wigs. So it just really depends on that person's preference. But the good thing is the units, they come pretty much glueless. Or we use tape if someone prepares it.
Polyurethane is a tape, or is it?
It's a material, so it's part of the cap construction. So
And
it's built into the cap.
Oh, okay, I got you. That's amazing.
Yes,
I've been in the cosmetology industry since the year one, and I'm learning something myself.
Yes,
So
it's a very different but needed side of
the industry. Yeah,
yes, over 1 million people suffer from hair loss, and it doesn't have to be complete hair loss. It can be any thinning or shedding. And as you guys know, a lot of times with our veterans, they, it doesn't have to be cancer. A lot of people are struggling from, post-traumatic stress disorder.
Right.
I don't know if you ever heard of trichotillomania, but that is the hair pulling disorder where people pull out hair on their heads, their eyebrows, lashes, depression, anxiety. So there's a lot of reasons that cause hair loss. And last but not least, I do have one more thing to show you guys. So again, Divine Beauty Bar is your one-stop shop. And so we do have breast prosthetics. So basically, if someone has had a mastectomy, they would need a mastectomy bra. So here is how the mastectomy bras look. And then as you can see, I have a hole here. And so if someone, like my most recent client, she had a double mastectomy, and she is not a candidate for breast reconstruction surgery because her chest wall is pretty small. So with that being said, she needs breast prosthetics. So she would get a mastectomy bra, and then she would get a breast prosthetic. And so this breast prosthetic goes inside of that mastectomy bra, so that when she have on, nice shirts or a nice dress, it fills it in for her. And the companies are getting better with making darker colors for some of our melanated folks. So we have pretty much anyone that's, dealing with any type of hair loss or going through a mastectomy. We do have those post-op supplies for them. And it's a great blessing that the VA has recognized those needs.
That is so cool. Well, we're just so pleased with what you're doing, girlfriend. You go, girl.
Thank you.
Anne had a question for you, and then I have a question after she
Yes.
Well, I want to know how you got into this, and I also want to know, are you a private company that contracts through the government, or are you essentially some arm of the VA?
that question of why you got into it is what I was going to ask you. So good.
Okay.
Yes. So thank you guys so much for that question. So my grandfather, I love my grandfather. He was born in 1932, and he was a Korean War veteran. And so when I was little, I remember he asked me what did I want to be when I grew up. And I said I wanted to do hair. We have other people in the family that do hair. And I remember him telling me, well, baby, find something else to do. And that stuck with me. Even when he passed in 2006, I still was kind of, like, what do he mean by that? Like, he's been proud of me and everything else. Like, what do you mean find something else to do, But it pushed me, right? And that's what made me say, well, you know what? I'm not going to just be an everyday stylist doing the same thing everybody else is doing. How can we find a purpose, and how can we, really, really help people and make a difference when they're sitting in our chair? And so unfortunately, in 2006, he passed from leukemia, and it went really, really fast. Literally one day, called my mom, like, I called him my pop. I'm like, and my grandma, she was such a strong lady. So my grandfather fell in the bathroom, and my grandma was like, and don't you tell your mama. So I ran in the other room, like, Mama, Pop just fell, but just pop up here and act like, I didn't tell you what happened. And so, she came and popped up, and unfortunately he, went to the hospital, never came back out, and everything just went so fast for us, and just really, really, really hurt us. So, that made me say, when I get older, I want to help people with cancer. So I just started doing, and like I said, I'm a social worker in behavioral health. And so I just started doing a lot of research, like, I want to make, wigs for people with cancer. And then I just started learning so much, did a lot of research, but everything that happened with my grandfather, him being a veteran, and then him having
that was your inspiration.
Yeah. So everything happens for a reason. And
well, we're so proud of you, girl. I mean,
thank you.
And is your company a private company that contracts to the government?
Yeah, so we're a private company. We don't have a government contract with the VA, but we are a vendor for the VA.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have
to write proposals to the VA in order to be approved, or how does that work?
Right. So they will have to first put it out there, and then once we see it, then we will submit our request for proposal. So I'm always looking for. They recently did a RFI, request for information. So I'm like, come on with the proposal.
Right. That is so cool. Well, we're so proud of you and want to learn more what you're doing, and give us that contact information.
Yes, ma'am. So you can reach Divine Beauty Bar at divinebeautybar.com. That is Divine, Divine Beauty Bar. For some reason, a lot of people spell it DEV, so I always have to make sure they put the I in. So Divine Beauty.
Can you spell that a little slower? Because we have
yes,
radio listeners as well.
Yes. Okay. Divine, DIVINE, beautybar.com. And the company's number is 469-499-6200.
Repeat the phone number again.
Yes, ma'am. 469-499-6200.
All right. We sure thank you for coming on and sharing. And I want you to come back, and hopefully you'll consider, I know you're a busy lady, but consider being on the team. Okay. And then if you have clients that want to come on, of course, we'll keep their face hidden, but to come on and show how excited they are, just come on anyway, because they're wearing a wig. It's not like we're going to see anything underneath it.
Right.
And tell us how it makes them feel because of you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. I started helping folks with disabilities years ago, because I was, as I shared with you, still in the beauty business. But after I had an accident, found myself disabled for a while, I wanted to do something to give back. And lo and behold, I was able to use that beauty industry as a form of rehabilitation. So it does, work in different areas, But make sure you come back and bring some of your clients on.
Yes, ma'am.
I know you're busy, and where are you now? You saying you're in Texas, huh?
Yes, we're located in Houston, Texas.
Okay. But thank you so much. It's such a pleasure and such an honor to have you on.
Thank you.
Okay. So Taylor, it's on you. We're almost going to wind down the show.
May I interrupt here? We forgot to show the pictures of Virginia. Is it appropriate to show them a little bit before?
I have them. I didn't know if you didn't want to show them because she was here.
I should have done it, and I'm sorry.
Oh, that's not a problem.
But is it all right if we do that, Consuelo?
Yeah, sure.
There it is.
Now, I'm not, there she is today, which you saw her just now. Here she is as a young woman. And in that picture, she is essentially just quit teaching school in a one-room school. And the picture at the bottom is the one-room school that she taught at. And in those three pictures, I think you see that she's a very bright and alert. She's just an extremely alert person. But isn't she incredible at 97 years old?
Oh God, I mean,
Yes.
please.
Incredible, really.
I mean, just as articulate and calm and
Yep, that's right. She's
informative.
very calm. She's very, very at peace with herself. Yeah.
Mhm.
And her daughter
And
is,
and busy too. I love that.
yeah, really. All
Yeah.
right. Thanks for doing that. I'm sorry that was my omission.
Oh, that's okay. You know,
Okay, so Taylor.
Yes, ma'am. I will be talking about wheelchair users traveling list. My friend Kathy has cerebral palsy and uses a wheelchair. Her wheelchair doesn't let her disability limit her from traveling across the US, nor do I with my manual wheelchair. She and I had to overcome many challenges, and nothing kills the soul like traveling. Our goal is to inspire others to never give up on their dreams and still get out there and enjoy life. I'm living proof. As a frequent traveler who uses a wheelchair, here are some packing guides for traveling with a wheelchair, scooter, or other mobility equipment. Traveling with mobility equipment always brings its own challenges, such as a wheelchair battery charger. If you've ever started at the giant heavy, or if you've ever stared at the giant heavy battery charger you receive with your power wheelchair or scooter and wondered how on earth you would lug it around with you on a trip, you'll be happy to know that small portable chargers are readily available and affordable. The traveler charger Kathy uses is about the same size as a laptop DC converter box. I want to note that travel chargers are typically lower in amperage, so they won't charge your mobility devices quickly and might shorten battery life if you use them for a long term. So keep yours in your travel bag ready to go and continue using the big charger at home. I also have some packing tips for you. If you're flying, pack your medical equipment and supplies together in one or more suitcases. Airlines are not allowed to charge for transporting mobility equipment, so those bags will be free. They also can't charge extra for transporting your wheelchair, walker, or your lift, etc. Be safe than sorry. Charles, take it away.
that's better safe than sorry. You know, but
Better safe than sorry, Charles. Is that better? Does that sound better to the ear?
sounds deep. It sounds deep.
Okay, Charles. My apologies.
You know, just to touch on that, I once flew, and this is about 5 or 6 years ago, and I left my meds in my package, my suitcase, and when I got to where I was going, they were gone. And so,
Really?
yep. So, you know, and that's the first time I had ever done that. Fortunately, you know, I called the pharmacy in the town where I was at and I got them replaced. But, and of course, you know, the TSA was, you know, they're not going to do anything about it because it's like, you know, they're not going to go up and open up some great investigation to find.
Right, right.
I would just say that as a lesson, never, you know, I carry any medicine I need, I carry it with me. And airlines cannot stop you from doing that. So that's just an FYI, you know.
And do they let you bring on medicine? Because when you go through the checkout,
Absolutely. Yeah, they have that. I mean, you know, that's because people
they
have
want you to
people
have
have all
seizures.
kinds of conditions. You know, you don't know if someone's asthmatic or
Right, that's true.
or you know, they're just, you know,
Right.
headache or whatever. So, you know, there's certain things that the airline cannot stop you from
Stop
carrying.
you from doing, right. Okay, so we're coming down to the end, Charles.
All right, so I'm going to talk about veterans and unemployment. Roughly 386,000 veterans were unemployed in 2021, according to the U.S. Department of Labor. Today, veteran unemployment remains high. What's more, disabled veterans are experiencing an unemployment rate almost twice as high as veterans without a disability. Ability Links, a 501c3 nonprofit, works to increase employment for veterans with a disability through a free online job board designed for disabled veterans looking to work for inclusive employers. Ability Links is a home to an online community of job seekers, inclusive employers, and supportive service providers has helped thousands of job seekers gain meaningful employment, and it promotes inclusion by helping companies diversify their workforce and decreasing stigma nationwide. Who's eligible? Any veteran with a disability living in the U.S. is eligible to apply on Ability Links. How do you apply? In creating a new account, applicants will need to supply basic contact information like their name, address, phone number, upload a resume, and identify their desired occupation. Disability information, their DD-214 records or service-connected disability ratings are not needed to sign up. Once the account is approved, veterans can search through more than 4,500 positions and begin applying. What are they to expect? A comprehensive veteran resource page is immediately available. The page includes employment opportunities with disability and military-friendly employers and valuable veteran resources. Ability Links works with such employers as Amazon, Northwestern Medicine, Blue Cross Blue Shield Association, Fulcrum GT, California Correctional Healthcare Services, McMaster-Carr, and 3 Saints Bay. Ability Links services include free job board for disabled vets, individual assistance for job seekers, weekly email blasts announcing new positions, job search consultation, referrals to disability programs, and employment services. So everyone should check out Ability Links Veteran Resource page. It's HTTPS. It's basically www.abilitylinks.org/veterans. That's www.abilitylinks. That's ABILITYLINKS.org/veterans. VETERANS.
All right, you gonna close us out?
I'm gonna close you out with a funny, clean clip. No more.
Yes, Lord, please.
Today I thought I'd bring back one of the OG clips that it's always funny because we have new viewers and listeners, and this is the one with the raccoon stealing the cat's food.
Okay.
It's a good classic. So let's see here.
Oh man. This is really good. Hey guys, how come y'all didn't tell me? How come y'all didn't tell me y'all having the cookout? I was in the neighborhood. How's everybody doing, man? Y'all good? Y'all good? Hey, how's Sally doing? She was, okay, all right. Let me just dip my paw in here. You know what I'm saying? See what y'all got going. Oh man, see now you done hit the food pay dirt, as they say. When you dip your hand in the water, get that moisture on it. Oh, this is so good, man. Y'all gonna be doing this? Oh, come on. Oh, you just grab some, you grab a handful, you dip it in the water. You see, get in on this, man. Come on, man. Try a little bit. You taste it. Okay. All right. Y'all a little uptight, but that's what these cookouts are for. You feel me? But listen. I gotta get on out of here, guys. Oh, thank you. I gotta get on out of here, man. But you know what, man? I'm gonna be in this traffic on the way back home, man. I don't want to get hungry on the freeway. Let me just grab something to go and then tip on out. Y'all be good. Praise God, man.
You're so sick. You are such a nut.
Hey, animals. We gotta enjoy our animals.
That's right. Okay, close us on out, Taylor.
Before Miss Connie closes the show, we would like to encourage our viewers and listeners to visit Operation Confidence resource page for some amazing resources. Also, we would like to inform everyone about Operation Confidence Positive Redirection Team. Consists of a group of male and female veterans who are mentors, having overcome similar challenges and situations, transitioning back into mainstream society. To be connected or become a team member, email us at info@operationconfidence.org. Again, info@operationconfidence.org. And we are excited about Operation Confidence combat boots, and Lace Women Veterans Mentoring and Creative Arts Group, and Operation Confidence Distinguished Male Veterans Mentors and Dress for Success Modeling Group. To get involved, email info@operationconfidence.org. Zoom meetings will take place the first Saturday of the month. Charles, show the combat boots and lace video, please.
You delayed.
Hmm.
Okay, well, that's a good one. So, we're getting ready to say goodbye to everyone. We want to thank our amazing guests for today, and of course, always our co-hosts. And as always, we want to have remind our listeners and our viewers that our goal for the show is to bring awareness about Operation Confidence's mission, which is to provide stable housing with a wide range of supportive services, including employment opportunities for disabled veterans and those who have experienced homelessness. So to get involved with our organization on a grassroots level, please contact info@operationconfidence.org. And don't forget to subscribe to American Invisible Heroes YouTube channel. To date, we have over 130,000 views, and we're moving up every day. And also, we want to ask everybody, we need your support. Okay, we really do for our housing project. So if you can donate at least $1 or more to our TD House Building Fund, we sure would appreciate it. And in closing, American Invisible Heroes is also streaming on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, Amazon, iHeart, Stitcher, and Instagram and Twitch podcasts. And of course, on our own Operation Confidence Google blog. How the hell I got tied to on our Google blog? So, okay, so we want to say goodbye to everyone, and we will be back next week. And once again, I thank our wonderful guests and our team members, and we're going to say goodbye. Bye, everyone.
Goodbye, everybody. Thanks again.
Thank you.